Sometimes we look at our work and feel a quiet dissatisfaction that we can't name. The image isn't wrong, but neither is it right. And because we can't articulate what we're feeling, we can't fix it. We just move on, carrying that unresolved tension into the next frame. This is where some photographers live, not in ignorance, but in uncertainty. They can sense when something's off, but they don't have the language to diagnose it. And without language, there's no path forward, just a vague unease that lingers long after the shutter clicks. I used to think evaluation was about judgment, deciding whether an image is good or bad, but it's not. It's about clarity. It's about learning to see what's actually there, not what you hoped would be there. And that requires more than taste or intuition. It requires a framework, a way of asking questions that reveal what the image is doing and whether it's doing what you intended. Some photographers get stuck during image review because they're trying to evaluate without a method. They look at the image and ask themselves, is this good? And when the answer is unclear, they stop. They scroll to the next one. They assume the problem is beyond their ability to see, but it's not. It's just a missing skill. And like any skill, it can be learned. This framework is for after the image is made. It's not about decision-making during the shoot. It's about review, about sitting with your work and understanding it more clearly than you did when you created it. And the most important part, repeatability. You ask the same questions, every image, not because they're magic, but because consistency builds clarity. Question 1. What is the photograph about? This is the first question, always. Before you evaluate anything else, you need to know what the image is trying to say, not what you intended it to say when you made it, what it's actually saying now as it exists. Question 2. Does the frame support that? Once you know what the photograph is about, the next question is, does the composition reinforce it or fight it? Composition isn't about following rules, it's about alignment. Question 3. Where does my eye go first and why? This question forces you to trace your own attention. Where do you look first? Is that intentional or accidental? Attention control is everything. If the answer doesn't align with what the photograph is about, you found the issue. Question 4. What role is the light playing? Light isn't neutral. It's always doing something. Is it revealing? Is it concealing? Is it creating mood or destroying it? Light is one of the most powerful tools in photography, but only if it's used intentionally. Question 5. What would I remove first? This is a subtraction test. If you could remove one thing from the frame, what would it be? And if you removed it, would the image be stronger? If you can name what you'd remove first, you've identified a weakness, something that, if eliminated, would bring the photograph into sharper focus. Question 6. Does this work without explanation? If you show this image to someone with no context, no title, no caption, no explanation, would it still communicate something? If the answer is no, you've found a fundamental issue. Question 7. What does this image reveal about the decision that mattered most? This is the final question, and it's the one that cuts deepest. Every photograph is the result of choices, and usually one choice mattered more than all the others. This question reveals patterns. It shows you what you prioritize when you're making images. Let me show you what this looks like in practice. Here's an image I made in South Africa, street market. And I want to be honest, I like this photograph. The gaze, the layers, the feeling of being inside that market. This isn't a bad image. Most photographers would be proud of it, or some photographers will be proud of it. I'm proud of it. But proud and finished aren't the same thing. And the point of these questions isn't to tear your work apart. It's to find the distance between good and great, because that distance is usually one decision away. So let's work through it. What is the photograph about? It's about his gaze, that direct eye contact through the chaos of the market stalls. He's looking right at me, right through everything between us. That moment is real, and you can feel it. Does the frame support that? This is where it gets interesting. The composition is layered. Beads in the foreground, merchandise on the table, fabrics hanging, the stall architecture framing him in a gap. And honestly, those layers are part of why the image feels cinematic. They give it depth, they give it texture, but they're also competing with the thing that makes the image work. The frame is treating the environment and the subject with equal weight, and when everything has equal weight, nothing leads. Where does my eye go first? The beads. They're big, they're close, they're detailed. My eye starts there and has to travel through the market to find him. And that journey, it's not bad. There's something to the idea of discovering a gaze through layers of clutter, but it means the image is asking the viewer to work for the payoff. Some viewers will, some won't. And the question is whether that's a choice I made intentionally or something that just happened because of where I was standing. What role is the light playing? It's catching the jacket, the merchandise, the stall textures, but it's not sculpting his face. The light on his skin is flat compared to the specular hits on everything around him. The environment is lit like the main character. He's lit like a supporting player. That's the gap. The photograph is about him, but the light doesn't know that. What would I remove first? Some of that left foreground, not all of it. The layers are part of the image's identity, but the balance tips too far toward clutter. If even one of those foreground elements fell away, his gaze would hit harder. You don't have to strip an image bare. You just have to tip the balance toward the subject. Does this work without explanation? Yeah, actually, mostly. That gaze carries real weight even through the obstacles. You feel something when you see it, but feel something and feel the right thing immediately are different. The image communicates, but it makes you find the signal through the noise. What was the decision that mattered most? Distance. 3 steps to the right and the foreground clears. The gaze fills the frame. The photograph goes from an image you appreciate to one you can't look away from. One decision, that's it. And that's what evaluation is for. Not to tell you the image is bad, it isn't, but to show you exactly where the line is between the image you made and the image that was waiting inside it. Good photographers become great ones when you can name what's holding them back. Usually it's one thing, and usually it's something you can control next time. The questions don't remove intuition, they clarify it. And once you can articulate it, you can act on it. This is how the gap between what you imagine and what you create starts to close. So, the next time you're looking at an image and you feel that quiet dissatisfaction, don't move on. Don't scroll past it. Ask the questions. What is the photograph about? Does the frame support that? Where does my eye go first and why? What role is the light playing? What would I remove first? Does this work without explanation? What does this image reveal about the decision that mattered most? These questions won't make you a better photographer overnight, but they will make you a clearer one, and clarity is where improvement begins. Evaluation isn't a talent, it's a habit, so practice it, ask the questions, see what they reveal.